So Elon Musk tweeted, "In the past, I voted Democrat because they were mostly the kindness party, but they have become the party of division and hate. So I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. Now watch their dirty tricks campaign against me unfold." And he also then tweets, "Political attacks on me will escalate dramatically in coming months."
Yep.
Now, what do you guys think? Does it matter? Is it something we all have experienced ourselves and know already?
I think one thing that it shows is how far to the left the Republican Party has actually moved.
Yeah.
It's substantially to the left of what it used to be. And you can tell because people like Elon Musk are going to vote Republican after a lifetime of voting Democrat. I'm essentially a conservative because the Democrats have gone so far to the left and I stayed right here and the Republicans came over and I was like, oh, hey, fellas.
Exactly.
You know?
No, it's true. And I hear so many people say that. The only time I've ever heard someone say something along the lines of, I'm on the left just because the Republican Party's gone so far right is when they're on corporate media and there's some rhino.
Right.
It's like, oh, no one in real life says that ever.
Well,
it's like some
true.
60-year-old,
It's not true.
60-year-old millionaire warmonger who's like, I don't know, I don't recognize my party anymore.
Yes.
The Democrats want to blow up kids in the Middle East, so I'm going to vote for them. It's like, okay, that's why I won't.
That's why I won't.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the same.
I'm super conflicted on Elon Musk continuing to evolve and put his hands more into politics because he's going to be another billionaire potentially funding candidates in the future. He might be another Peter Thiel type figure in the future. So it'll be interesting to see how he changes and develops. But I am highly...
I wonder why he would fund any politicians. Do we
well,
really think
because
he has
he's trying to get involved in politics or one way or another. And Twitter was a way...
But he can't be president, right?
I think he was... Born in South Africa. But it wouldn't be worth it for him to run. He could just have his paws on different elections by funding people. But what I was trying to get to in a full circle kind of way is that he still has deep connections to China. He still has Tesla factories in China. And he will still be at the whim of this government, the Chinese government, the communist Chinese government, that is. If he does want to do any business there in the future, he needs to make sure he doesn't step on any toes. I know we kind of overlooked that because Musk has become this sort of anti-left figure. And when
we don't overlook that. We talk about it all the time.
That what?
That Elon Musk has praised China on more than one occasion. He's got factories in China.
Sure, but he's kind of become a hero in some online anti-left circles because he is a big voice willing to come out against these people. And it seems as though all you have to do nowadays to get a lot of fans on Twitter is say the obvious that men can't become women or something like that. So it's just, I think people ought to be cautious who they end up supporting being reactionaries against others.
But if you think about saying men can't become women on Twitter, a month ago that would have gotten you banned from the platform.
Maybe. Twitter's bans are it's a caste system. Mm-hmm. The more followers you have, the more you can say. So I tweeted, what did I tweet? Don't cut off teenage girls' tits. Mm-hmm. And someone reported me, and I got an email from Twitter, and it was like, you've been reported under German law or whatever, and we found no violation. Whenever I tweet stuff like this, people are like, oh, Tim's going to get banned now. And I'm like, you kidding, dude? I got 1 million followers. They're not going to ban me.
Well, the Babylon Bee got banned for saying that Rachel Levine, who's obviously a man, is a man.
Mm-hmm. That's because
and it was
Twitter's
funny.
policy is if you target an individual.
Oh, yeah. I see.
So if you say a generality, then they give you more leeway. If you have a small account, like 100 followers, and you say, men and women are different or something, they'll ban you. Mm-hmm. If you have a big account like the Babylon Bee and said men are different, they'd leave you alone, but they said Rachel Levine specifically.
Mm-hmm. Is it too cliche to say that double mastectomies are modern day lobotomies almost in a way?
Well, they don't remove your brain.
They don't remove the same thing, but just as we look back on lobotomies now, sort of medical malpractice is how in the future we will look back on these sort of surgeries.
I mean, it's certainly an anti-mother operation. Yeah.
I think it's like a butchering. It's like the next stage of plastic surgery and kind of a butchering of a body.
Yeah,
I don't want to deviate too far from what we were talking about because we are going to talk about this in just a second.
Sure.
So talking about Elon and Twitter.
Sure. Well, if we're on the topic of Elon, I just want to respond to what you said. I totally agree. I've said this in the past. I'm cautiously optimistic about Elon. I'm not totally sold, and it's absolutely true. All someone has to say is, I'm not completely all the way on the far left with respect to one single issue, or I think the left has gone too far here, and all of a sudden the right wing is all over that person.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of parallels between Elon Musk and somebody who's commonly demonized, Bill Gates. I mean, these are both people who had their come-ups in the tech industry. And some of the stuff Elon Musk says is crazier than what Bill Gates says. Elon Musk is the chip planter.
Well, the difference
Elon Musk and Bill
Gates,
Gates, Romeo and Juliet.
I will say,
and they're both billionaires. They're both, the richest people that existed during their time period, during the top. But Bill Gates gets demonized like no other, and Elon Musk becomes a hero of the same people. The same people who will complain about Bill Gates being some demonic, cabal man will praise Elon Musk for the simplest things on Twitter.
Sure, but I want to mention one thing about that.
That's the Broadway show, though, if I may. That's the Broadway show. Nina Jankowicz plays Elon Musk as Juliet, and James O'Keefe plays Bill Gates as Romeo. And that's the show.
To your point, I hear so the reason I consider myself cautiously optimistic about Elon Musk, but I don't like Bill Gates, comes down to one really important issue. It's that Bill Gates has repeatedly said things like there are too many people in this world. He's discussed population control, whereas Elon Musk is basically the only ultra wealthy person saying we need more people.
He's right.
The population narrative is a myth.
We do need
brain
more people.
chips. And
no, I'm not a fan of the brain
weird.
chips. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a fan of the brain chips, but I think it's gotten to the point where there are so few elites saying anything even remotely sane that when one of them does, it's a victory.
And doesn't he have a bunch of kids?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know Bill Gates also has a history with his father supporting Margaret Thatcher or Sanger in the past.
That
with
wouldn't
connections
shock me.
with Planned Parenthood. But I still think, if you want to extrapolate what Elon Musk says with the brain chips, it's just as bad as anything I think Bill Gates has said in particular. So it's just, I think it's an interesting thing how
I think it's interesting that the two of them are
about the brain
opposed.
chips.
I think he said
he wants
talking
about Neuralink?
Yeah.
So Neuralink is, it's a pretty fascinating tool. And if it's used properly, I think it would really help people who are disabled.
Okay, fascinating.
Right. So one of the things it can help do is people who have spinal injuries, it can help connect their brain to other parts of the body.
And Bill Gates is trying to cure different diseases in Africa.
Sure. And so that's why this is a moot point. My question is, what is Elon Musk is going to force the chip into people's brains? Well, offering up a service that you don't like and don't think is creepy is bad. We can criticize people who do bad things. But the question around here is around freedom. Bill Gates has called for rescinding freedoms, saying, how is Elon going to stop misinformation? You can't do this. He said, we need less people. And Bill Gates said that. And Elon Musk has said, we actually need more people to sustain the planet, and people should have freedom of speech. Now, the things they work on, we can criticize. But when we're specifically talking about Elon and things we like, it's for the things we like. And when we criticize him, it's for the things we don't like. And the end result, I believe, is supporting freedom of speech and defending the rights of humans, or saying people are good and we need more of them, will probably create a better outcome in the long run, no matter what he works on in terms of Neuralink. Bill Gates saying the opposite is darkness that will lead us down a very dark path of death and suffering.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with that. And I do like this idea that we need more people, because we need people to support the people that already exist, and we need to create more resources. And human beings are the best resource the planet has.
I don't completely agree that, we've talked about overpopulation, and there are a lot of people who say, actually, let me try and find Google Earth. There are a lot of people who say that we're not overpopulated. And that's an opinion I think you guys have, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at a map of the United States?
Yes.
Have you ever actually looked down at the level of development in North America? Like,
it's only really popping on the coasts.
No, no, the entirety, everything. When you look at, we've got Google Earth here.
When you say development, I mean, like when you see pictures of it at night, you see where the lights are.
Altering terrain, doesn't matter where the lights are. Grab Illinois, for instance, and when you zoom in, basically the entirety of the state has been developed. There's some pockets of trees in some state parks, but you can just go straight through the state in any direction, and every little square is human development.
Why is that bad?
So I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm certainly saying when the entirety of Illinois or other states are completely developed, overpopulation is something that I think we should discuss or entertain.
Well, shouldn't we then? People maybe should move to other places. I mean,
it's not about moving. They don't live there. We've taken the land and we've cut it and developed it to produce a certain thing. So perhaps we can say, maybe we're not overpopulated, but we're overproducing. We are utilizing massive swaths of millions of acres or whatever to produce all this food and all these resources that we're consuming like crazy. Maybe if humans consumed less, we might not have to worry about overdevelopment. We're shipping in fertilizer from Europe. Norman Borlaug has increased crop yield, but nutrient density has diminished substantially. So I think, as much as I respect Elon Musk saying things like more people is better than less people, because when you say less people, really bad things happen.
Yeah.
I think we should try and make sure we're having a legitimate conversation. Maybe I'm wrong, But I can point to a few things that I think at least would need to be questioned, like the bug population collapses, the dead zones in the ocean, fishery collapse, and mass pollution. Maybe it's not overpopulation. We talked with Michael Malice about this. It may be overpollution or overdevelopment or something.
Exactly. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that last statement. My issue with the idea of this being an overpopulation issue, framing the narrative that way, is that you are, with that framing, indicating what the solution has to be in your mind, so it's circular. If you say we have an overpopulation problem, then what you're effectively saying is the solution is for there to be less people.
Right.
But if you point out the way you did that there are issues such as, insect populations declining, if that's the case, or pollution, then we ask the question, how can we deal with these problems? And there's no reason to believe the solution is to get rid of people or have less people.
I agree with that 100%. I think the solution is actually better agricultural technology and development. I believe it is culture. I think the United States has cultural problems. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we have a culture of gluttony instead of responsibility.
Amen.
I think
that is a problem.
Absolutely. So you have people who are morbidly obese, and instead of being like, maybe I should consume less, they're like, this is fine, actually.
Beautiful.
Let's get on the cover of a magazine and tell everyone else to live this way too.
I think we have a parenting problem as well, because
Agreed.
I think that parents don't teach their children to be responsible either for themselves or for others. And I think that is a key thing to do. Like, children, stop worrying about what college your kids are going to go to or what career they're going to have, and instead teach your kids to grow up to be kind, responsible people who can take care of themselves and the people that they love.
Mm-hmm. And who also want to. I think that's what's so
and find
insidious.
joy in it. Find joy in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a post not long ago, and you see a lot of this from people saying things like, so much of our life is dedicated to work. And I do believe that at some point people can be overworked 100%, and that's a problem. But they were saying things along the lines of, the only thing meaningful about my life is when I'm off work. And I think a lot of that is, firstly, an issue with the kinds of jobs people have now. There's a good argument to be made for that. But also that no one finds any value in the service of others, and people don't take any pride in doing things that make other people's lives easier.
But the other thing, too, is that we have completely diminished the value of just doing work.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if there's a job worth doing, and this is cliche, but there's a reason it's cliche. If there's a job worth doing, it's worth doing as well as you possibly can. Yeah. There was recently, I forget what it was, but sometimes there'll be like an article at work and I'm going to be writing it at Post Millennial. And sometimes I think like, I don't really feel like writing this. And then I think, okay, if you don't feel like writing it, clearly you're missing something. Clearly you're missing some aspect of this story. Go figure it out. Do some research, investigate it, find out the interesting part of it, and then write it. And whenever that happens, oddly, those end up being my best pieces. The ones where I'm not sure at first and I'm just kind of like, and then I dig into it and I'm like, oh, well, that's actually fascinating. And now I have a great piece.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.